Macy's just announced that they'll be closing 125 locations, and that's going to be 2,000 employees.
So they're getting rid of 125 locations?
Yeah.
So probably mostly in malls, right?
Right, yeah. So
how many locations do they actually have?
So they currently have 871 stores, and so they're closing 125. So you're looking at 14%.
Okay.
So they also said that that'll be roughly 2,000 employees that will be losing their jobs.
And they've been downsizing for years now because I guess what is their main revenue from the mall aspect? Like
it used to be. So they actually mentioned that they'll be closing down most of their stores in weaker malls.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I guess that makes sense because no one really goes to the malls anymore. Everyone just kind of shops online. So,
and their stock has kind of shown that too.
Really? So what's their stock looking at?
I think 5 years ago it was at 64, and it's declined to 17.
Jeez.
So what? That's 70%.
Roughly, yeah. That's pretty bad. So, I mean, I think Macy's is just an example of what's happening with brick and mortar stores just because they're competing with the online market. And if you look at it this way, right? So their intention is that they're trying to grow 4 of their other brands. So they have 4 private brands.
So this is what they're trying to do for the future as they're closing down their stores.
So because they realize that their profit's not going to go anywhere from the actual stores. Mm-hmm. 1, overhead, 2, rent at those malls, and just because it's so expensive to keep those maintained, they plan on growing their 4 international concepts or brands. So it's going to be International Concepts, Alfani, Style & Co., and Charter Club.
So these are 4 separate clothing brands?
Right. And they're expected to be 25% of sales. Supposed to make up 25% of Macy's sales by 2025. And they're supposed to end up being worth $1 billion each.
Okay. So this is their big plan for the future. They're saying these brands gonna carry us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I think. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say their CEO Jeff Gennette, I don't know how to pronounce it. But he basically said that these changes are painful, but they're necessary. So I think their long-term plan is to stop, selling mostly from those stores, but mostly from other stores. For example, if you look at like Nike or Adidas, they're not selling from just their stores. They mostly get their sales from online or, for example, Foot Locker or Finish Line.
So I also guess the difference is Nike's a brand.
Yeah.
It's not a store. So so Macy's doesn't really, no one's saying, oh, I want a nice Macy's t-shirt.
Right, yeah, no.
Okay, yeah, I totally get that. I think Macy's definitely didn't see the malls failing. I think that was their big problem.
Yeah, they were way too late.
They were too late. These brands should have been developed years ago, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I mean, I guess it's kind of hard to see that. Yeah. I know from our experience, we don't really go to the mall anymore.
I won't go to the mall to buy something, but like if I have friends over and we have nothing to do, then it's like, okay, let's go to the mall, but we're probably not going to buy anything.
We don't even go to the mall that often anymore.
Yeah, not at all.
For like the last year, I don't think we've really been to that mall that much.
Yeah.
Like I'll go there to the restaurant right next to it, but other than
Cheesecake Factory.
At Willow Grove, yeah.
Yeah. So people aren't going to the mall anymore, that's right. And then another thing about Macy's is 60% of their cash flow, their free cash flow, is going to paying their dividend.
Really?
It doesn't make sense to me because you're talking about closing stores while having the dividend so high. I mean, if I'm a shareholder at Macy's, I don't even want the dividend. I'm saying, can we somehow get the stock going back up?
Right. That is true. I mean,
can we pay off the debt? Can we invest in these brands that are supposed to be the future?
I think they're just trying to keep their investors at this point because they realize they're just slowly disappearing. I mean, just look at their stock price. It shows that their value is horrible right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're not being valued as they used to, which makes sense. A lot of the big retail giants that, were considered too big to fail 2 decades ago, now closing down. Who is it that also closed down? Was it Sears? No.
Sears did close.
They did? So they, Toys R Us, Payless. Kmart. Looking at the big brands now, they're all gone now.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time before, Macy's ends up going away. Or, unless Walmart can sustain itself.
Walmart's fantastic. In my opinion, if we're talking about buying clothes, is there a big difference between going to Macy's and going to Walmart to get like a shirt at this point?
To some people, yeah.
You're more into fashion than me.
From what I know, Macy's is still relatively expensive. It's not cheap stuff still. So I feel like people are still valuing it based on its price. So I feel like people still get their suits at Macy's. I knew a couple of kids that got their prom suits from Macy's.
All right, so right now the stock's at record low.
Yeah.
Is this a turnaround story? Would you invest in Macy's?
No. To be honest, I will not. I don't really know how far. I need to do more research into their 4 other companies before I basically say that. But right now, I don't think so.
Definitely not. They're not helping themselves with the high dividend.
Yeah.
Stores are closed. You have to have a lot of faith in these 4 brands that were late to develop in the first place. You have to wonder how much of the market they're really having a lot of knowledge in.
Yeah. Yeah, but I guess they're expecting it to be 25% of their entire sales. And that's...
Yeah, but I don't listen to anything CEOs say. I listen, but I don't just say, oh,
unless it's Gannett.
I don't even trust that. I don't like any of it.
Yeah, so you're looking at those companies, it's honestly quite ridiculous. Like, I'll even ask some of my siblings, they don't really go to the mall that much.
Not at all, yeah.
No, and I don't really go to the mall either. There's just nothing to do there. Because I feel like you just look around, but at the end of the day, I'm mostly getting my clothing online.
Definitely. You get anything online.
Or even, what I feel is crazy though? I get a lot of my clothing from premium outlets.
Like what?
The Philadelphia premium outlets. Okay. Because majority of their stores, they're carrying kind of the higher luxury stuff for cheap prices. So I wonder how they're doing as a whole. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I feel like malls are still pretty expensive. No one goes shopping at malls because it still is pretty expensive prices compared to online. That's my whole issue. I'm just looking at it. If you look at the prices there, it's just ridiculously expensive. Might as well get it online. So what I was thinking is, if you made it cheaper at the mall to go shopping, people will be like, oh, it's a bargain. Let's just buy stuff at the mall instead.
And maybe the prices will go down just because the
supply and demand.
Yeah, just because then the companies in the mall, I feel the rent's going to go down just because the malls, having space in the mall is going to become less valuable.
Right.
But even then, that's not going to be enough to save these stores.
Yeah.
Macy's is in an interesting position because people recognize them as a place to buy clothing.
Right.
So you think if they can make the brands popular, they have a perfect place to sell it, like online on Macys.com.
Yeah.
But who knows if people are going to like these clothes?
True. I don't even know from because the whole thing with fashion right now, a lot of people are all about that fast fashion. So getting cheaply made clothing that looks nice or it's meant to copy some of the higher end brands like Louis Vuitton or Gucci or any of the more expensive runway brands. So they'll put random outfits together using the cheaply made clothing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the whole thing that's going on with fashion. So if you're kind of that clothing that's semi-expensive but not cheap, I don't see that going anywhere.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say about Macy's is we're at the peak of expansion economically. What's going to happen to Macy's and all these brands they're building if there's a downturn? Well, then these brands they have such high expectations for aren't going to be selling, and then their stores are going to keep closing.
What I'm wondering is what happens when a recession hits?
Yeah.
They're just gone.
They have to cut their dividend then. That might save them.
Yeah, no, it's definitely no one's gonna I don't see anyone even helping them out.
Definitely. So if I was to invest in Macy's, I'd see if they could survive the recession first, and then I might say, all right, we're here to stay.
Right.
See how the brands are doing.
Yeah, there are 4 brands. see if they're, on the rise at all.
I think it's going to get a lot worse for the stock before it gets better.
Oh, yeah, they're cutting so far 14% of what their current, how many stores are open currently. It's only going to continue going down. Like, I don't really know anyone that buys at Macy's.
Not yet. Not until these brands come out.
They just look.